Hi guys, it's Shvon from To Kitty and Beyond. I already filmed a video today, which is currently uploading, but I was procrastinating about studying and doing my stats homework. So I was like, oh, I'll just pull a couple of cards and see what's going on around the equinox and around what's going to happen around this big spring solstice that we're having. And the cards were just so crazy that I really had to just lay them out and make a video for you guys because it's super intense. Okay, so first of all, I pulled the first row and then the second row and then the third row. So like the last two rows are all major arcana, and the first row we have 3 2s and a 6, which equals, so 3 2s equals 6. We've got 2, 4, 6, and then a 6. So that's huge. And then we got 2 counterparts over here, which I'll go into in a second. Okay, so first off, we got the 2 of summer, which is about relationships and coming into union. Like, that's the union card for the twin flames. Falling in love, making a serious commitment, forgiveness, and the resolution of a problem. Then we got the 2 of autumn, which is about juggling. It's the 2 of pentacles equivalent, so finding balance. And it's saying, bring fun into everything you do, juggling multiple priorities or jobs, and exceptional talent for multitasking. And then we got 2 of spring, a bright future manifested through hard work and creativity, partnering with others who share your dreams, and great progress being made. So as you can see, we're juggling a lot, but we're working as a team moving forward to this divine union. And then we've got 6 of summer, children or childhood. So that's the 6 of cups equivalent. So it's about the past, the return of people or romances from your past, remembering events differently in a better or worse light than how they really occurred. So what I'm seeing here is kind of, it's coming full circle. So people from our past are returning into this new relationship that we're having. We're falling in love, making a serious commitment to someone, which would be our twin flame, which would be either from the past in this life or from past lives, because twin flames are a part of your soul and you've gone through every life together. So that is really beautiful. Now we move into the major arcana. We've got release, let go of the past, an ending that makes way for new opportunities and time to move on. And then we've got ego, the illusion of being trapped, placing too much importance on material items, getting caught up in fear and worry. Renewal, review the past and present so you can plan a bright new future, understanding your life purpose, releasing judgments of yourself and others, and strength. The grace and inner strength needed to overcome challenges, the power of kindness and forgiveness, time to embrace how wonderful you are. And I'll go into this last one afterwards. So I'm just going to say, for release, we're releasing the ego. And one of the videos that I'm uploading right now goes into more detail about that. It's the surrender spread. If you haven't watched it already, by the time this is uploaded, then I recommend it, because it's all about what we need to release to be able to come into union, and what's blocking the union, and what we need to surrender to. And so, but it all boiled down to ego. So we're releasing the ego, and this will bring us renewal, a renewal of strength to move forward. So on the last line, or on the last row, we have the world, a brilliant success, the freedom to go in any direction, a journey that is now complete. Then we have the moon, powerful intuitive epiphanies, letting go of worry and fear, understanding the truth of a situation. And life experience, let go of belief systems that no longer work for you, an important life-changing event, a situation that leads to significant opportunities. And then we have, last but not least, unity. Do the right thing for the right reason. Compare traditional versus new approaches to see which works for you, a spiritually minded community. So coming into unity. And this was the last card in the surrender spread as well, which was the overall outcome for when we release the ego. So we're getting a lot of the same themes here. And since this is specifically for around the time of the equinox and around the time of the spring solstice and around the time of this there's that new moon on the 17th. We've got big influxes of light waves coming in on the 18th and 17th. And then we've got the equinox gateway going from, like about the 18th, 20th, 21st is the actual equinox on the 21st. And then it usually stays open for a couple of days after that as well. So into, we'll say, we'll round up and say like the 23rd. So this is like big, and then right after that we've got the full moon. So there's so much stuff going on right now energetically, and especially with the twin flame union. And we're seeing that with so many major arcanas and so many synchronicities. So basically what this is saying is that, again, we're going to have this renewal of strength to move forward through these processes. The world represents cycles, karmic cycles, big changes, things happening for divinely guided reasons, and we're being illuminated by the moon. So we're having these intuitive epiphanies and coming to the realization of what all of these situations and all of these past situations and all of the patterns that we've gone through in our life, and what that's leading us to and where that's guiding us, and what the purpose of it all was / is, and letting go of fear and worry. So by releasing the ego, because the moon's right under the ego, by coming into our intuitive self, we're releasing the ego, and that releases the fear and the worry, because those emotions or those parts of our personality stem from the ego self, not from the higher self. The higher self replaces fear and worry with trust and faith. And then we have life experiences, which is the Tower card equivalent. But I love this fairy tarot deck because it's so positive about it. You know, it's not like, oh, the crashing down of the tower. It's like, no, let go of belief systems that don't serve you or don't work for you. It's important and a life-changing event. It's viewing it in a much more positive light and saying that this situation will lead to significant opportunities. So I've said this before many times, you know, you can't build a beautiful tower on top of a crumbling foundation. You really do have to break it down first to be able to build something fresh and new and sustainable, something with a solid and stable foundation, which is what we're seeing here with all these 2s and 6s. This is all about stability and balance, and then the 6s is about harmony and compassion and coming into union. And then we see that with unity. So we've got this unity coming in, and then we're seeing that mirrored here with counterparts that came up back to back. So we've got the King of Winter and the Queen of Winter. Now, this is not the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups. This is the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords. So swords are about the mind, swords are about the intellect, swords are about being logical and focusing on what you need to get done. So for me right now, actually I'll put them like this so you guys can sort of look at them. For me, what I'm getting from this, it's not, you know, we've got this unity coming up, and that all of this romantic and the past stuff and all of this is coming up, and yet we're seeing the counterparts coming up as swords energy. And so what I'm feeling is that, or rather winter energy, what I'm feeling is that it's not yet a time for romantic union. We are coming into union within ourselves, and this romantic relationship and this unity will come from that. But what I'm feeling with the King of Winter and the Queen of Winter is that we're coming into wisdom and wholeness within our own mind and within our own individual selves. And so through that, we're going to build our empires individually, and then we will be able to unite them. We will be able to bring things together. So as you can see, the King of Winter, what does he say here? He's got, get advice from someone professional and objective, public speaking and unemotional relationships. So he's knowledgeable, experienced, fair-minded, and unemotional. So the whole thing about unemotional, it keeps coming up. And then for the Queen, she's strong, patient, self-sufficient, and funny, and she lets go of people or things that don't serve her. She realizes that now is the time to focus on her career, and she is unmarried or divorced. So this is saying that it's okay to be on our own right now. This is a critical step in the twin flame journey. This is something that needs to happen. We need to come into our individuality. We need to come into our individual mission, because the twin flames will have a collective mission, but they also have individual missions and individual life purposes, and they function independently of each other. And we are autonomous. We are individually autonomous. And once we realize that, and we are standing in the strength of our own independency, that's when we can come into union and not have that codependency, which is a recurring theme for the twin flames. We need to move out of the codependency into, when we do eventually come into union, we will be autonomous within that union. So what I'm saying is that when we do come into a romantic relationship eventually, we will not try to control each other, not try to, try to be too dependent on the other, or trying to, like, you can't go out, I need you to be here with me, that needy energy. We're not going to have that. We're going to have that free, autonomous self. It's like, you go work on your stuff, I'm going to work on my stuff, and then when we come together, we can work on stuff together. And it's like, if you need your free time, please go do it. I appreciate my free time as well. So there's no competition, there's no fear or struggle, or like there's no power struggle, there's no neediness, no codependency, none of that. So we are being asked to release all of that now, to be able to become renewed with the strength to get through the cycles of the realizations of this, and to come into what we came here to do through life experience. So every life experience that we've been through, no matter how difficult or easy, was for the building of our independence, for the building of our strength, and ultimately to bring us into unity within ourselves, which will facilitate the unity of the twin flames, or the union of the twin flames, rather. So let's see, what am I being called to right now? I'm going to grab some romance angels. So romance angels, can we get some clarification or the energies of the twin flame unions around the time of this spring equinox? Please and thank you. It's exactly what I was just talking about. Okay, so this, the Doreen Virtue Romance Angels deck doesn't have a twin flame card, so this is the equivalent of the twin flame card. So this is saying that, yes, this is your soulmate. Yes, this is your twin flame. This is your other half, your counterpart, whatever you want to call it. But we're working on issues of codependency. We're working on releasing the ego, which is what causes the codependency. The ego is selfish. The ego is needy. The ego is fearful. We're working on releasing that within ourselves, so that when we do come into union, we don't bring that with us. Because if you haven't done your inner work and you come into union with your twin flame, it's going to be a shit show. It's going to be a fucking mess. Sorry for my language, but it's true. And I'm just trying to emphasize the importance of doing your inner work, of releasing your shadow self, or working with your shadow self, integrating it and bringing it into the light, so that you can know how to move forward in wholeness, and you can release your ego, or, work to tell your ego to sit down, basically. And we're going to move out of codependency, because that's the only way that the twins can come into union in a healthy manner. And let's get some unicorns in here. Unicorns, what messages do you have for the twin flames for the spring equinox? These two. We got share and love. How perfect is that? So share, when you share, everyone feels happy, and love, the answer that you're seeking is love. So the opposite of the ego is love, is your higher consciousness, which is love. And we're here to share that as twin flames, as individuals, just in general. As beings of love, we're here to share that love. And so we will have this with our twin flame, we will have that. But again, there needs to be work done to make sure that when you do come into union and you're ready to share this love, you're sharing it in a healthy way. You're not sharing it in a codependent way where you're obstructing the other's freedom, or you're, what's the word I'm looking for here? When you're projecting your fears or your worries onto them, or when you're projecting your insecurities onto them. That's what happens a lot of the time in relationships, karmic relationships, or any kind of relationship really, that's not balanced, that's not healthy. And we're seeing, with all the twos up at the top row, they're saying that we need to find balance. We really need to become whole within ourselves before we can become whole together. So I'm just going to get one card from the Crystal Mandala deck. Crystal Mandalas, what do you have for the twin flames for the March equinox? What card do you have? What wisdom do you have for the twin flames for the, oh, okay. Ascended Master Jesus and Rose Sophia, meaningful sacrifice. So this is a meaningful sacrifice. We're being asked to sacrifice the ego, which a lot of the time is the personality which you feel most comfortable with. Most people, especially those who are newly awakened, don't associate themselves as having an ego. They don't think that they do, but the ego is a separate entity from your true self. We have created the ego as a means of survival. The ego's main job is that fight or flight, that instinct. And originally the ego was, to keep us physically safe. If we saw a lion, we wouldn't just go up and try to share love with it and pet it, we would try to protect ourselves. And so the ego, through learning and through its evolution, has become more and more prevalent, especially in our society, because it's protection. It stems from fear. It stems from conditioning. It stems from these experiences that were very 3D, that were very past-oriented. And so now we're being asked to look at the past and see what lessons that came from that we can let go of now, that we can deprogram and decondition and release the ego, because we don't need it anymore for those things, because we're moving into a 5D existence, a 5D earth, which is all about love, which is all about unity, which is all about healing our traumas and our hurts, and releasing the ego so that we can stand in our higher self and be intuitive and have these psychic abilities and have all of these empathic and telepathic abilities. Like, we're going to be all connected and we're going to live in harmony and in peace. And so we won't need the ego anymore. And so it's now time to, it's not like we're going to completely get rid of the ego, but we're just learning to differentiate between our higher self and the ego. It's, it's that voice in your head that's saying, you can't do it, or this is stupid, or I don't believe in this. And then the higher self is saying, you can do it. This is real. You have great power. You are loved. You are love. That's the difference. And it's the feeling that you get when you hear that voice as well. So if you're feeling fear or worry or anything like that, that's ego. And if you're feeling trust and faith and you're moving forward with confidence, that's your higher self assuring you, because your higher self sees everything from a bird's eye view. It knows what's going on, what's going to happen. It knows your true abilities and your true power, and it knows how everything connects. It sees the bigger picture, whereas the ego is in the dark about everything, and so it's scared. Of course it's scared. It doesn't know what's going to happen. It doesn't know what to do, and so it lives constantly in fear. And so it's about separating and discerning between those two. So I'm going to read the actual little synopsis on that. 23. Okay, Ascended Master Jesus and Rose Sophia, meaningful sacrifice. We bring you the blessing of meaningful sacrifice. To manifest your divine destiny, there are times when want must give way to a greater need. It may feel as though you're being denied the very thing that you yearn for the most. However, when meaningful sacrifice is being asked of you, there is a far more generous and loving reality at play. What is being denied now will ultimately create the opportunity for far greater gain. This doesn't necessarily resolve the pain of unfulfilled desire in this moment, but it does soothe your soul with the understanding that if you feel denied, it is only so that your fulfillment can come about in a more extraordinary and generous expression in due course. So this is saying that although we want unity of love now, we want, instead of having the Queen and King of Winter, we want the Queen and King of Cups. But we're being asked to make this meaningful sacrifice, to put that aside for the time being, and to work on ourselves right now. And especially going into the equinox, it's going to be very self-oriented. We need to do the inner work. We need to focus on our journey, on our spiritual ascension, and our mission, our soul purpose, what we came here to do individually. So I'm going to skip ahead to the healing process. So keep your eye on that while I read this, and we'll get some activation codes to help us integrate this meaningful sacrifice energy. So I call upon the crystal angel of Rosophia and Ascended Master Jesus Christ, who love me unconditionally. Thank you for the divine healing blessing of meaningful sacrifice. May the discipline asked of me be an opportunity for me to discover my inner strength, courage, and faith. May I be supported by love to surrender my attachments to how I wish things would be, so that the universe may bless me with all that would cause my soul to overflow with joy. May I be protected and nurtured on my true path and divine destiny at all times. All that I unconditionally surrender to divine love attracts even greater blessings into my life. I accept the blessings that become available to me through my meaningful sacrifice, through divine grace and my own free will. So be it. So, yeah. So what this is asking of us is to put aside for now our needs or wants for union at this time, because if we were to come into union at this time, for those of us who aren't ready, it could be short-lived. You may come into union and it's fantastic at first, but then all of these ego things that weren't worked on start to come up, and then you end up having to go separate ways. And that disrupts the journey, and then you've got to basically not start from scratch, but you've got to kind of start all over again. So this is asking us to do the work now, so that when we do come into union, we are happy and whole and ready to be in this partnership, not from an ego perspective, not from a need or from a codependency perspective, but from a wish to give unconditional love no matter what, and to find balance within the partnership, to move forward together, both being whole, both being secure, both being confident, and both being on their individual life path and purpose. So just, we're gonna have the strength that we need to get through this. We're gonna have the strength that we need to release. We're going to have our inner self, our higher self, guiding us with our intuition through these changes, and eventually we will come into unity. But right now, we're being asked about that meaningful sacrifice. We're being asked to forego the sharing of this love in the physical realm with our twin flame, because we need to work on our issues with codependency. We need to release the ego to be able to come into this serious commitment, because it is a serious commitment and it's going to take serious work. You can't just, expect to be in union one day when you haven't done any of the inner work and then, it's happily ever after. This is a long process of inner work and outer work. And once we've done that, yes, we will ride off into the sunset on the white horse or in the carriage and happily ever after, the credits roll and everything like that. But it's going to take some more time. It's going to take some more work. But don't worry, because we're being divinely guided. We're being assisted by the angels, ascended masters, loved ones, and our higher selves. We're being given strength on our journey. We're being, cheered on from the sidelines, and we're helping each other. Just by communicating and being in this twin flame community, we're helping each other to get through this. We're helping each other to heal and move forward and learn the lessons and integrate the lessons and forgive. That's a big one as well, which we haven't discussed much, and I want to do a whole spread on forgiveness and what we need to forgive and move forward, similar to the surrender spread. So that'll be another